Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the mayor of North Las Vegas, running for governor, John Lee, joins us for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always delighted to welcome back to the program John Lee. He is the mayor of North Las Vegas, and he is running for governor. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you inviting me back again.
Always. I mean, I want to have all you guys on throughout this campaign because you need to be known by everybody, and not everybody has been following your career as long as I have. So can we start out, please, and talk about the Clark County School District and what in the world is going on? The superintendent gets the boot, then he's rehired, but they're not sure if he's going to come back or not. Please share with us, because people in Washoe right now are going, really? There's a system more messed up than the Washoe County School District?
I would say yes, but I also say that if you recognize both Washoe County and Clark County now basically don't have supervision at the superintendent level anymore. I know you guys are coming up with some changes in yours, and we are. The thing that gets me, Sam, is we hire these guys to be the superintendent of the school district, and then we send them out in the community. They tell everybody what they're going to do, and pretty soon they become rock stars out there, and they're out in the knife and fork circuit. I sometimes think a superintendent should be like in construction, like the guy shows up at 5 o'clock in the morning and unlocks the gate so all the guys can come to work. He leaves at the end of the job, locks the gate. I mean, he's been on the job all day doing the job of a superintendent. I don't think we get enough time give enough time for our superintendents to actually do their job. We probably need 4 or 5 superintendents that stay on the job. Henderson, Las Vegas, Clark County, North Las Vegas, maybe have a superintendent. I don't know what you do, but we need to have leadership that stays on the job all day long, trying to fix the problems that are happening in those districts. And the other thing I'll mention, Sam, if you don't mind me taking this a little farther, is the trustee situation. I don't know, and I'm going to say a bold statement here, I don't know anybody who really elects their school board trustees. And you say, well, wait, I voted, I went all the way down the ticket. But when it got to the school board trustees, it seems like we just guessed somebody. If my name's Smith, then I'll vote for Jones. If my name is Enriquez, I'll vote for Torres. I'll find some identity that makes me think that person would understand me and my children and my family. And so we don't spend enough time in our voting for these elected officials to find quality people, and other times just to learn about what their issues are, what they want to do, what their platform is. So I have a real problem with how the trustees are thrust into that job without any experience.
All right, so let me point out an irony that for me goes back 40 years. I joined a Toastmasters group literally 40 odd years ago, and they have a thing there called table topics where you can get up and talk on any subject for about a minute and a half. And most of the topics you talked about, one or two people would jump in. You brought up education, everybody jumped in. So it's not like people don't have an interest in what's going on. You can see everything, you know, through COVID and now where we are with COVID, that parents were some of the most vocal people, along with business people, about what was right or wrong with what the government was doing, both on a federal level and on a state level. So there's a disconnect both in electing school trustees and also the judiciary, where the public is just not aware of who these people are. And you know, I got to give credit to the Las Vegas Review-Journal and the Reno Gazette-Journal. They do their best to inform people, but you know, it's not enough.
No, I agree. And I don't want to beat anybody up. I just want to say it is such a huge responsibility that we have to understand that these people need to understand what their job is and not try to learn their job as they go along. Education right now, Sam, is the number one issue in Nevada right now. I think behind that probably is jobs, then roads, then healthcare. Those would be, in the next 10 years, those would be the big issues of Nevada. But we've got schools in Southern Nevada where the students have not had a math teacher or an English teacher since school started. They don't have substitute teachers coming in. They have the hall monitors coming in, looking and watching the class to make sure they behave. The gym teachers, they put one gym teacher in the gymnasium and he watches 3 classes because they sit in circles where their class is, and they have those teachers teaching things that they have no experience in. The administrators are teaching where they can. We just got a serious problem with education, teachers, and substitutes right now. And we need to get somebody, a superintendent, who's going to focus on those things and help us bring back education. We've got to teach world-class education here for the future jobs, college degrees, you know, the future. And it's not happening at all.
Okay, so where does the State Department of Education have a role in all of this, if they do?
I think they have every responsibility for what's going on. That's why they're there. That's why the state, in the Constitution, it talks about the schools in the state, how important it is. I think Joni Ebert's a nice lady. I just think the problem is too big. We can go up and down all day long about mask mandates and what we should do and where we can't wear them. We can't sing in church, all this crap. If I was governor today, we'd be looking at education. And if that little executive power that he has works for some of the crazy little things he does, I'm sure we could get that executive power to get in and help fix the schools in the state too. I see no responsibility from the governor. He says, well, they're elected officials. What can I do? That's the feeling I'm getting. We're destroying the state right now, and he's letting it happen.
All right, so let me pivot off of this into a topic that just, I'm curious as to what your take is on this. You know, I was born and raised in London, England. And when you got to the age, when I was a kid, 15, and now it's 16, you made a decision as to whether you were going to go to college or not. And if you weren't going to college, you either went into the workforce or you got an apprenticeship. And here we are in Nevada and in the country, but let's talk about Nevada, where there are a lot of kids that don't necessarily want to go to college. Is there a way for us to develop a system where we allow kids to leave school at 16, go to work in a profession of some kind where they have to have schooling to get them to the GED level, so they do have that certification, but they are also concurrently able to work in a trade because we have such a shortage of labor in our state, no change in immigration rules coming down the pike. This may sound outrageous to some people, but not everybody needs to go to college.
No, Sam, I agree with that. We actually have a school in North Las Vegas that does exactly that. And it's a parochial school. It's Catholic Church oversees it. and they do that same program. They send these children out into the industry a little bit where they choose to go. I don't think, though, that you can just give a person a test and say, well, you wouldn't be good at this, so you go be a plumber. I was a plumber. I loved it. Me going to college wasn't on my list at all. But I do believe that careers should be discussed in school. Financial literacy should be discussed in school. These are the important things that are going to continue to move our economies and our lives as we get closer to retirement, that we have a fill-in coming behind us of good men and women working in the same trades we were in or adapting out of trades. But yes, Sam, you're 100% right. And by the way, I was born in Middlesex, England. And so I understand when we came over here when I was 4 years old, we started the school, in Roswell, New Mexico. But, I was geared to go to school in England too, and I might have been stuck with that choice. But this is America, and I like the opportunity for everyone making decisions for themselves. And you're right. Education is the key, whether you go to college or not. Get something that will feed you and support you in your life.
Okay, so I'm going to go completely off topic here. I was born and raised in Tottenham, Middlesex. So do you recall where in Middlesex you were raised?
Ricelip Air Force Base. My father worked with a gentleman named Francis Gary Powers. When he got shot down over the Soviet Union, they closed that base off. That was a base. They sent us to Roswell, New Mexico, another secret base, and then on to Area 51, which is another secret base. So my father was a very high classified spy, but he was moving product from place to place. If you like the Bay of Pigs would happen, you'd have to move stuff there. That was his responsibility in that area.
Okay, so you've opened a door. I've got to go through it. UFOs, anything to report?
That's I'm going to laugh about this, but I'm going to tell you. So one time, my dad is so like every other person in the Air Force. They don't tell you what you don't need to know. So I asked my dad one time, I go, is it possible there's aliens out there? And he goes, I don't know, son. That was need to know, the standard answer. And then he looked at me and thought, it's been a long time since I've been in the Air Force. He goes, I'll tell you this, John. There's some buildings out there. They're air conditioned completely, that more than anything I've ever seen anywhere else. I don't know. Sounds like something's out there. So that's what he told me.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk infrastructure, and not of the alien kind, right after this.
It comes from Washington. Darkness spreading across America. Radical socialists are destroying our country and communities. But John Lee switched parties to stop them, fighting for conservative values like Reagan and Trump. As a principled conservative, John Lee's proudly pro-life. As NRA Legislator of the Year, John Lee fearlessly defends our gun rights. And as governor, John Lee will stop the left and keep Nevada's future bright. Let's ride. John Lee for governor.
Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your furnace breaks down today, we fix it today. Why freeze for days while your furnace is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get warm again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 and we'll fix it today. That's 323-5585 or online at nevadaheating.com.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with the mayor of North Las Vegas, John Lee, running for governor. So infrastructure. We already have a crisis in our state in terms of, the supply chain, in terms of labor, and now we're going to put in billions more dollars into the state. What are your thoughts on this? And if you were governor today, how would you be coordinating this?
Well, there's projects that need to happen throughout the state, and some of these counties aren't big enough to support those projects. This is a windfall. It really is. Somebody down the line, a generation from now, is going to be paying for this, and half this money won't even be spent for about 10 years. You know, it'll take up to 10 years to spend it. You know, but we do have some shovel-ready projects that are ready to go on in Clark County for sure. If I had my choice, I wouldn't take the money. I would just say, let us use conservative values, good old fashioned leadership. Let's work on our projects alone. But since these projects have come, I think that these are one shot money. I don't think you should ever hire a single person with this money, because then you've got that payroll and that retirement for every single person you hire for 40 years, 30 years sometimes. So I think this should all go into infrastructure itself, and infrastructure is probably the third most important thing that we should be doing in Nevada right now. And so I fully agree. If you're going to get it, put it into actual infrastructure.
All right, so let me reiterate what you just said, that if you had your druthers and you were governor, you would turn down this money.
No, I would just say we should be able to run our company with our own dollars that we generate. And when you get more and more money from the federal government, you're just tacking on more and more financial strain on next generations. It doesn't seem fair to me to be able to do that continually to generations coming behind us. We have gas tax. We have different taxes that are already in place. Those have been predetermined to say they would do the job within your county area. Let's just use that money that we would have got effectively. That's all I'm saying, instead of just getting more money to do this.
About 3 years ago, Senator Reed was on this program, and he said to me that the tipping point had already been reached with federal debt. This was before all the trillions of dollars from both the Trump administration and from the Biden administration pouring across the country and into Nevada as well. So my question to you is, where do you see the tipping point? Because I've been hearing this my whole adult life, is that, you know, future generations are going to pay for this, but we're on multiple future generations now, and I don't see that anybody's been paying for it yet.
Well, let's say we just continue to do what we're doing well past we're actually living in Bernie Sanders' world of government now. We're actually living in that world. And so slowly, as we move forth, there's obviously going to be something that's going to happen that triggers this economy. I think there's a financial storm coming right now. And if Senator Reed spoke that earlier than me, then more power to him for bringing it up. But there is a financial storm coming, and it will affect us in our lifetime, Sam, if we keep this crazy giveaways from Washington.
As you look at what's happening in Nevada's main industry, which is the Las Vegas Strip, are you pleased with the way things are going? Because it seems that the pent-up demand for Las Vegas and gaming, actually, even on the local level through the state, is through the roof. And this is without the majority of conventions coming back or international travel coming back. So that's going to be even more so. Are you looking at a huge excess of dollars coming into the state?
I think there's going to be very good value coming into the state from the gaming, tourism, and hospitality area. I think mining is doing very well now. But if you go across the board to the rurals, you're finding out they're not benefiting from that. They have housing shortages. They have issues going on in the area. I don't think people can afford a house that you just got married. You've been married 3 or 4 years. Sometimes you still can't afford a house. You don't have the down payment, you know. So I think that some things will flourish, but other things are going to suffer if we all don't pay attention to the labor costs that are involved in this, the price of housing, the price of fuel. The high cost of inflation is going to really wreak havoc on families, and it is right now.
Are you concerned with the infrastructure bill that a lot of this is going to be paid at prevailing wage, and therefore the cost is going to be much higher than it would be otherwise?
No, I understand that. One thing about prevailing wage that does happen is it usually hires in town or in-state people, you know, and that money comes into that employee, and that money then goes back into the economy. You don't really waste that money. It just makes the expense of the project sometimes 2 times higher, and which is a real detriment, because you could actually do value added engineering and save money, but labor you can't touch, and so, but it does go back into the economy. I think sometimes that it gets a bad name for itself, but it does give a working family some added support to have enough money to keep ahead of their bills.
Okay, so that positions you kind of in the middle, because you're a Democrat. You started out as a Republican, you became a Democrat, now you're a Republican. But that answer would be more of what I would expect from a Democrat than a Republican in a primary.
Well, what you asked me if what effect it's going to have. My effect is it's going to cost more because the laws in effect are, even at NDOT, over $25 million jobs, even before you bid them, are going to be prevailing wage jobs. I think that's very unfair to a lot of contractors who can't get now a lot of that work, and they have employees that live within our state, and those jobs are not available to them now. I think that there is a way that you can close out a lot of employment with prevailing wage. But then I also realize there's some jobs that are so big, that you need to have a steady workforce, and you need to have no shutdowns or layoffs and things like that. So I see both sides of the issue. I was not a non-union contract. I mean, I was not a union contractor. I was a non-union contractor. So I lived in both worlds.
All right, let's take another break. More with John Lee running for governor after this timeout.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years.
Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. You have a great hotel here. Mike Pegerman's invested a ton of money into this place to make it just gorgeous. Tell people what they can expect when they come down and stay.
A real quality experience, Sam, and the rooms, you've stayed in them, they're good size, very well appointed, clean, and for about $65 Sunday through Thursday right now through the winter. After you're done with your meetings, you take a nice, beautiful scenic drive and come stay in a very nice, beautiful room. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with John Lee. He's running for governor, and he's currently the mayor of North Las Vegas. So we're going to get $4 billion from this infrastructure bill. And I've pointed out over the show over the last couple of weeks that Resorts World costs $4 billion. You know, in San Francisco, $1 billion will rebuild 6 blocks, but it doesn't go a whole long way in Nevada. Is it really that much money when you consider it?
Well, I think it's enough for what we could actually do for things that really need to get done. You know, there's some projects that probably really need to get done. The money's coming there. I can't stop it anyway, but $4 billion, that's about going to get some work out of it. But I don't want to dwell on it. Every city, every county had to put in a list of things they thought were smart in their area. We put together a list, and that list will come back, and they'll give us a couple of bucks throughout the state to do some projects with it.
All right, so let me ask you this. You've been traveling around the state, talking to people. What's the number one thing that people are saying to you?
2 things, hope and anger. They're mad because they have no contact with Carson City. They have nobody reaching and calling them back, nobody kind of taking them on to where they can take a moment and discuss some of the issues they might have. So it's crickets from Carson City. And then hope is, if I do hear from them, I hope they don't come down here and just abuse us and do more and more harm to us. So that's kind of what's happening out of Carson City right now and how the state of Nevada looks at it. I'm the mayor of the third largest, maybe the fourth. Reno and us are really close right now, city. I've never heard one time from the governor say, hey, what's going on down there? How can I help you? We have people on staff here. No, I would say to him, just fix your own state government. If you do your job, take care of your departments, I can take care of mine. But at least ask me, how's the mask thing working? What do you really think? Instead of calling California or everywhere else to get your information.
So it's kind of an irony that Catherine Cortez Masto is out in the rurals and getting kudos from a lot of conservatives. They may not vote for her, but they certainly appreciate the work she's doing. And yet, as you say, I've heard from just about everybody in rural Nevada, with a few exceptions, that the governor is not in touch.
Amen. I don't know what the senator's been doing out in the rurals, but I can tell you, I know what the non-performance of the governor has been. And that's just how he wants to run his government. That's fine, but that's not the way I would do it.
All right, and that's where we have to leave it for now. Sir, you know you're always welcome anytime. So we'll look forward to having you back here. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
You too. Thank you, Sam. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. And we'll be right back.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and Twitter. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for Season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
You're in with every gangster and hoodlum in the United States. I don't go for that, Mr. Kennedy. I don't go for that kind of action.
I was on television accused of fronting for the mob.
Subscribe to Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, Season 2, today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this. Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it. Yes. Yes, they will.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and YouTube. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.